Hello, my name is Brad, and this is my CSF leak patient story. And I got the idea for making a video like this from watching other stories on the CSF Leak Foundation .org website. I watched many stories, and the one and only reason I wanted to make my own video is because during my ordeal, I had a head symptom which I haven't heard anyone else describe, but I'm sure it's not unique. I'm sure it's happened to other people. So that's my motivation for making this video to hopefully help someone going through the same thing. Um, and I would love to have posted it to the CSF League Foundation.org or whatever they're called, but went on the website, couldn't figure out how to do it, couldn't contact them. I'm probably not the CSF League Foundation.org material anyway. So I did notice that some other people had posted rogue videos without the foundation's help. So I'm adding to that videography. And so once again, my name is Brad. This is my CSF League story. My story begins on April 1, 2020. And the reason I know the date is because at that time I was in the habit of keeping a log of my blood sugars. And if ever something happened unusual health wise, I would usually make a note of it. So on that day, there'd be an Excel cell somewhere that says headache. Um, so in those times, my office had basically shut down, sent everyone to work from home full time. So I'd been working at home for 3 or 4 weeks. My normal routine was work, sign out 5 p.m. or so, hit the treadmill, hit the shower, have some dinner, and some combination of those events. And this day, sometime earlier in the day, I noticed a strange headache just creep into my head out of nowhere. It was so unusual that I took note of it. But I tried to ignore it and just went about my day. And at 5 o'clock, I signed out and hit the treadmill and so on. Little did I know that I would only run on the treadmill one or maybe two times more, and that I wouldn't even so much as touch a treadmill for the next year or so of my life. So things went bad in a hurry. Um, and I want to say at the outset, I'm describing that I had a strange head symptom, which I haven't seen anyone else talk about. I think this head symptom is directly related to brain bleeds, and just indirectly related to CSF leak. Um, but I think without the leak, it never would have happened. So anyway, as I said, I noticed a strange headache from day one, and it just got worse very quickly. Every afternoon, I'd have this bad throbbing headache. I couldn't focus. It was hard to work, and and so on. And I was never a big headache guy. I never had much of an issue, so I knew I had to do something about it, such as see a doctor. So I contacted my PCP, and I was very happy to accept a video appointment uh, very soon thereafter. At that time, it was the height of COVID time. I was not eager to go anywhere, so I was happy to do it by video. Anyway, the doctor just said, well, if you've got a headache, first thing to do is try Tylenol. Try it for 2 weeks, and if after 2 weeks it hasn't resolved, we can refer you to a neurologist, and we'll go from there. So Okay, fine, great. Um, so I started taking Tylenol right away, and I can say right now that that was both a blessing and a curse because it was very effective at removing the headache. The pain was gone. I was able to focus. I was able to think. Um, I could probably sleep better, probably eat better, and so on. Probably work better. But it didn't do anything for my other head symptom. Like I said, this fog, this feeling like there was something physically inside my head, the right side of my head, that shouldn't be there. That symptom was still there. Plus, I had other more typical symptoms like fatigue, nausea, vomiting, lack of appetite, and and so on. So um, life went on. My COVID life went on. I did my best to stay upright at work. If I had a video meeting, I would always make it. But I was just getting sicker and sicker by the day, even though the headaches went away. And while I was getting sicker and sicker, the strange head symptom that I had got uh, more pronounced. I don't know what the heck the symptom is. I can only just try to describe it. I felt like there was always something fuzzy. There was always something inside, physically inside my head, that I don't want to be there. My head was never clear. I could never shake my head like I'm doing now. But it wasn't really painful. Um, and as time went on, it escalated to something maybe short of hallucinations, but something similar, where every time I would close my eyes, my brain would just kick into this sort of film, like 60-second film of totally bizarre events that would take place over just a minute and they would abruptly stop, and I would usually wake up. And then as soon as I woke up, it would start again, and just again and again and again, and like just like an endless loop. So I don't know what to say. I don't think it was a hallucination exactly, but I don't know what else, I don't know what to call it. But it was strange, and it was beginning to worry me. So I had another doctor, an endo, who I'd been seeing for some years, and I told her about my symptoms, and she said, "Well, these are common symptoms of high blood sugar, and your blood sugar's out of control. So that should explain the fatigue. It should explain the loss of appetite. It should explain your difficulty eating, your queasiness, and all that." Which I agree is true. And then I even had a CAT scan done on my liver, and the result was I was having the beginning of fatty liver. And I don't think I said this to my doctor, but I definitely said it to my wife. I said, I don't care how high my blood sugar is. I don't care about this fatty liver. There's something separately, completely different going on in my head, and I can't fix it. I need some help somehow. And uh, but still, I tried to keep it on a brave face. Time went on, but the fatigue was growing very strong. The only thing I might compare it to is maybe the birth of maybe having a newborn. Um, I would get up and do my best to make it through a work day. But come 5 o'clock, I would just hit the pillow and try to sleep until 6 o'clock, and then from maybe 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., I would be awake and alert. I'd be trying to eat, but I would eat very slowly because I was having problems eating, chewing, and swallowing. But anyway, I was generally alert for a few hours, and then I would say to my wife, I just have to lie down. There's no other option. I have to lie down. I would lie down and then I would just be out completely for 2 to 3 hours. Usually my wife would wake me up. So let's say she woke me up at 10:30. Then I was generally up and alert and do computer or whatever up until midnight or maybe 12:30. And then that would be my normal bedtime. And you might think I would have trouble sleeping since I just got up from a 3 hour nap, but that wasn't true at all. I would sleep like a baby like every night. So if I look back on that time period, I could say I was just constantly sleepy or constantly sleeping the whole time. Um, anyway, this was going on, and then one fine day, um, I signed out of work. Signed out of work at 5 p.m. as normal, and I had this vague notion in my head of going upstairs to take a shower. And the next time I opened my eyes, suddenly I was surrounded by EMTs. And they're asking me all these questions. I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was. But I quickly figured out that, okay, I, I must have blacked out and I must have fallen over. And my wife must have found me and called 911. All of that was true. And I came to find out later when I blacked out and fell over. Fortunately, my head hit a little extension cord, and that caused some bleeding in my head area. And that was the best thing that could have ever possibly happened to me because as soon as I got to ER, they sent me for a CAT scan because I had a head injury. And the result was the doctor came and said, well, you've got subdural hematoma, which just means bleeding in the brain. In fact, you've got a bilateral subdural hematoma. But we can't treat you here. I'm going to send you to the specialty hospital where they treat that kind of thing. And so, probably a mere 5 hours and $5,000 later, I found myself in an ambulance to the new hospital. And I would say probably the very next morning, or possibly the morning after, they sent me way downstairs to do a spine MRI. I'd never had an MRI done in my life. I'm not claustrophobic, but I just wasn't expecting I'd be lying there on that slab for two freaking hours or more. It was just so uncomfortable. I was so upset. I wanted to get out of the machine and just punch someone, but I didn't. And later on, soon enough, another doctor came to see me and said, um, we found massive CSF leak in your spine, and we think all that fluid went up and broke the blood-brain barrier, and that's the cause of your subdural hematoma, not falling on your head. And okay, and then they said we're gonna try a blood patch to patch up your leaking spine. Hopefully it'll work. So fine. So I had a blood patch procedure, probably the most simple procedures. They just withdraw a little bit of your blood with a syringe, and they inject it into your spine as close as possible to where the leak is known to be. And I can say the blood patch just worked, boom, just like magic. It's like the blood, it was like a suction cup. Blood just went immediately to where the leak was. And just within a few hours later, I was back in my room. And I just felt so much better. I mean, it seemed like every symptom was gone. I had no nausea. I didn't have the fatigue. I could eat like a normal person, so on and so forth. Um, the only thing I wondered about was what was going to happen at night. Am I going to have this sort of hallucinatory dream again? And on night one, I did start having that strange film loop hallucination thing, or at least I had it for part of the night. But they don't let you go in just one night. So by night two, that was completely gone. So this entire head symptom talking about, where something's in my brain and it doesn't shouldn't be there, makes me feel fuzzy all the time. Um, that was all true, but I felt like they fixed it. And a few days later, they sent me home, and I thought I got off easy. This is the best possible result. They found out was wrong. They fixed it. Best of all, I didn't need any surgery. Um, so I felt great going home, and I probably felt great for the next few days at home. I had grand plans to get back to work, get back on the treadmill, and do whatever my normal activities were. Um, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. Um, things were going swimmingly for a little while, but let's say a week later, I started to notice a bit of tingling in my left hand, and let's say this started on a Monday. By Sunday, it wasn't any tingling. I was having just crazy, long, violent, jerking seizures all day, all night. I mean, I won't say all day, all night. They would go on 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and then they would stop, but they would always come back. It was something I never had before, and it was pretty difficult to deal with. And during this time, I had a video appointment with a neurosurgeon, and he was going over the MRI, brain MRI results, and he said, "Well, it's not looking that good. Your brain's supposed to be expanding, but it's contracting. You've got a lot of fluid. You've got a lot of blood. You've got a lot of fluid, and your brain's kind of going berserk." And even in the short window while I was talking to him, I started having seizures. My left arm was going crazy. So he observed that and he said, "Okay, there's no other choice. We're having surgery as soon as possible." But it was one of those "don't call us, we'll call you" situations. So I was determined to just wait at home until they called me and then go in and have surgery. And I tried my best to do that, but um, one day I had a seizure going on for some like 35 minutes in a row, and finally I consented to let my wife call the ER. And of course, they took one look at me and they sent me straight back to the specialty hospital. And I think the upshot of all that was I ended up having my brain surgery probably 1 or 2 or maybe 3 days earlier than I would have otherwise. So that's probably a good thing. Um, so the surgery went well. I'd like to say that's the end of the story, but um, it really wasn't. A lot of things went wrong afterwards, but now it's basically a year later, and now I'm basically in full recovery. I feel my health has recovered to what it was prior. My strength is back to what it was prior. Even my left arm and left hand is functional, almost as strong as it used to be. Um, I won't be taking up kickboxing or MMA anytime soon, but I feel like I can do any activity that I want to do. So I my final or my message is, if you ever have the symptom where you feel like there's something in your head that shouldn't be there and it's causing this fuzzy brain, you're not crazy. It's probably true. Um, feel like this symptom, although it was bleeding in the brain, that 99% sure that the cause was the CSF leak in the first place. And if I could leave you with one final bit of wit or wisdom, I would, but I don't have anything else. So thanks for watching my video.